Grimm gather around the ruined streets in front of the broken-down old church building. They're all trying to force their way into the broken-down door. Suddenly, in the darkness of the night, a small, glowing orange ball of light flies towards them all. Bowling the Grimm over is why. A little fireball of a dog crashing into Grimm at top speeds. Any Grimm left still alive in his wake is quickly killed off by Jean, Neo, Oscar, RWBY, and Oobleck. Once the area is cleared out, Oobleck motions for the kids to follow him. Entering the church, the pews and any decorative remains are all destroyed. In the center of the front stage of the church, there's a massive tunnel that leads down into the ground. It seems the Grimm have all been gathering here. RWBY, you spotted an extraordinarily large Grimm beforehand, yes? Right. Did you make out any distinguishable features? Was it an Ursa? A Beowulf? I'm sorry, Doctor. I couldn't make anything out. It moved too quickly. Oobleck nods and Neo holds up her scroll. We can handle this, no problem. Yes, this is what you've been training for. All those hours studying, days training. Ozpin wouldn't have given you this mission if he didn't think you couldn't handle it. But, I do want to say, if you feel like you are overwhelmed, don't feel any shame in falling back. I'd rather you get a bruised ego, rather than any more serious wounds. The four nod in agreement, and Oobleck's thermos unfolds. The end of it lights up in flame, and he points it down the path in front of them. Stay behind me. His thermos ignites in a huge explosion of flame, and he uses his flamethrower to burn away any extra Grimm in front of their path as they travel down into the tunnel. After a moment of constant flames, Oobleck turns off his thermos. Darkness expands infinitely in front of them. RWBY jumps slightly as a noise suddenly echoes down the tunnel. Squelching and whining. The team readies their weapons and slowly moves closer. The tunnel opens up into a gigantic cavern. RWBY looks around in awe. The cavern is filled with rotten crates, railroad ties, and half-finished tracks crisscrossing on the ground in front of them. Remember? Oobleck said people tried to make a tunnel system here before the Grimm attacked. This must be what's left of it. Hush, children. The squelching, whining sounds continue. The noise echoes around them. RWBY looks down to Zwei. He's sniffing the air. Find it, boy. Zwei trots forward, sniffing in front of them all, then points down a specific corridor. The team start moving in the direction he points. Neo stops to pat him on the head before continuing with the others. They follow down some train tracks towards a large tunnel, big enough to fit a train. In fact, an old decrepit train sits sadly on the tracks. The team creep past the train further down the corridor. The noises are louder than ever. They get closer and closer, and Oobleck holds up a hand. They stop, and see two small red glowing lights staring back at them. They wait, staring at the eyes shining in the dark. Then suddenly, there's a heavy growling noise, and two more, much larger glowing eyes turn to face them as well. Jean and Neo take stances in the front and ready their shields. Oobleck, RWBY, and Oscar hold up their weapons. Suddenly, a voice. Well, well, well. What have we here? The kids jump, startled, and turn confused to Oobleck. Oobleck shakes his head, also seemingly stunned. Where are you, ma'am? There's Grimm in this area. Where are you? I stand here before you, child. The smaller glowing eyes sway with the words. RWBY's eyes widen. Oobleck stammers, trying to find his own words. There's a Grimm right by you. Be careful. I do not fear the Grimm. They are my children. There's a long silence after these words. Jean and Neo share confused looks. RWBY and Oscar do the same. The set of eyes takes a step closer, and suddenly the room is filled with brilliant orange light as Oobleck's flame erupts powerfully from his weapon. Jean and Neo duck aside, avoiding the residual heat from Oobleck's attack. The flames flood the room, and RWBY squints, unable to make out anything past the wall of fire. Oobleck cuts off the flames. A few rotting crates down the path of his attack are now lit on fire. They illuminate further down into the tunnel. RWBY's face drops as she sees what's in front of her. A large beast with twisted proportions, seemingly some sort of goat-like Grimm. Its jaw seems broken and drool pours out of it. It has used its massive arms to defend the other one from the flames, and it moves, revealing a woman. Human, except her skin and eyes are the colors of Grimm. Monsters. Lady Sarah, please protect us. The woman tilts her head slightly. Lady Sarah, Yes, that is what people used to know me as. Jean's eyes widen and they shake their head. The woman crosses her arms. They've called me so many things. Lady Sarah. Lady of the Moon. The people thought I was a god. What a lovely memory. But I do not use that name anymore. Now, I am known by the name Salem. Oobleck's flames erupt again, and Jean cries out, "No!" The larger beast behind Salem shields her once again. Oobleck's fire does nothing. The beast groans and a horrified voice bubbles out of its mouth. "Heretic. Heretic." Oobleck stumbles backwards, shocked. No, you're lying. You're not my goddess. You're some crazy woman with a weird semblance. Heretic. The large beast moves past Salem, closer to them, seemingly angry. Salem tilts her head again. Do you know these children, my dear? Did you once go to school with them? Ruby is startled, then takes a closer look at the monster. At the face, revealed, mixed in within the grim form around it. Heretic. Oh my goodness. Cardin? The beast suddenly charges forward, and Jean and Neo slam their bodies together to shield the others from the beast's massive force. Ruby zips out of range of the monster. Oobleck zips off in the opposite direction. The beast grabs hold of Jean's shield and starts to drag them closer. Oscar smacks his cane into its head, but it doesn't even flinch. Heretic! It screams into Jean's face. Jean goes pale. It is Cardin! Oh my goddess, what has this monster done to you? Cardin spins and throws Jean. Their body tumbles into a pile, sliding to a stop. Heretic! Oscar's eyes flash gold, but Cardin just shimmers slightly and charges at Jean. Jean pulls up their shield just in time to block the hit. My semblance did nothing to him. He suddenly gasps as Salem, faster than a human should move, appears right next to him. She grabs hold of his face and pulls him closer to hers. You seem familiar. Ruby screams and slices Crescent Rose towards Salem. The woman moves like lightning and avoids the hit. She suddenly starts rushing further down into the tunnels. You get back here! Ruby uses her semblance and chases after the woman. Ruby, no! Don't go by yourself! Oobleck's own super speed activates and he goes running after Ruby. Ruby tries to fire Crescent Rose as she runs, but her bullets miss their mark. Salem seems to be moving without having to actually move her body, flying down the tunnels with a dark cloud-like haze trailing after her. Ruby tries to fire again but misses. She groans and charges on, trying to catch up to the woman. Oobleck starts to fall behind as the two women pick up their pace. Cardin lifts Jean off the ground, growling and glaring at them as it does. Heretic! Jean tries to slash their sword into the monster's arm, but their blade doesn't quite reach. Neo charges forward and jams her umbrella's blade into the back of Cardin's leg. Cardin yowls in pain and drops Jean, who quickly rights themselves and slashes again, this time landing a blow on Cardin's torso. Oscar pulls himself off the ground and his eyes flash gold again. Again, it does nothing, and Cardin swipes at the two with giant hands. They backpedal away, and Cardin lowers his giant goat-like horns and suddenly runs full speed towards them. The three dive out of the way. Cardin keeps running and slams into the deteriorated train car, stumbling backwards and groaning from the hit. Neo sees her opportunity and runs up, scrambling up a few boxes, and throws herself up onto Cardin's shoulders. He growls in confusion, and she jabs her blade into the humanoid side of Cardin's face. Black blood pours out of the wound in his cheek, and Cardin cries out again in pain, reaching up and grabbing Neo and throwing her off of him with a quick whipping motion. Neo crashes into a crate and coughs, stunned by the throw. Heretic! 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 Oscar grabs Neo's arm and pulls her up. Neo points at her own face, then Cardin's face, then makes a motion like slicing her own neck. The human part is his weak part. Neo nods and points, confirming that's what she meant. No, but wait. What if he's still in there? The monster turns to them, seemingly disoriented. Jean, I really hope he's not. For his sake. Cardin roars and charges towards them again, horns down. This time Jean stands their ground, and Cardin's horns slam to either side of Jean's shield, pushing them back with their might. Jean's heels dig into the ground, trying to stop their movement. Jean reaches forward and presses a hand onto the humanoid face of Cardin. A soft white glow emanates from Jean's palm. The monster roars with anger. Nothing happens to the wound on its face. Jean gasps sadly, and Carden backhands Jean, who gets sent backwards into a wall. Jean has just enough time to twirl to avoid a follow-up punch. Our dust, our semblances, they don't do anything to him. We can't heal him, Jean. I'm sorry. Jean sighs sadly and watches as the monster that was once Carden roars and tries to wipe away its own black blood, smearing it across the humanoid face. Jean grits their teeth and wipes away a quick tear. Then we should put him out of his misery. Oscar and Neo nod and ready their weapons. I'll distract him. You two use your blades to finish him off. They nod and split off in different directions. Oscar waves his hands. Hey, over here! Heretic! Carden growls and charges after Oscar. Oscar starts to run back towards the bigger cavern of the tunnels. Carden hot on his heels, slamming massive hands into the ground, trying to swat at Oscar like he's a bug. Jean and Neo run up behind Carden. Jean readies their shield, and Neo jumps up onto it, kicking off the shield and flying into the air, once again landing on Carden's shoulders. Carden, having learned from last time it seems, quickly stops and grabs her with both of his massive grim-like hands. Oscar gasps and slams his cane into Carden's gut, causing the beast to recoil. Neo, freed from his grasp, stabs at the face again, over and over and over. Carden roars angrily, collapsing to its knees as it tries to claw away Neo. Heretic! Heretic! Jean runs up and slices their sword across Carden's spine. Black blood pours out of its back and it collapses to the ground, burbling in anger and pain. The three stop and look at the monster before them, and Jean grits their teeth. I'm sorry. Jean jams their sword into the throat of the monster, digging into the hide of the grim-like fur, until finally, Carden stops moving. Jean withdraws their blade and the three gather together, watching as the grim-like body starts to disintegrate away. They watch as it leaves behind a half-destroyed human-like skeleton in its wake, before that too disintegrates away like dead grim flesh. Jean clasps their hands together. My goddess, Lady Sarah, Jean stops, eyes widening, thinking about what that woman had said before. Oscar places a hand on their arm for comfort. Do you think what she said was real? That was just her making up lies, right? To shake us up, right? Neo wraps Jean up in a hug and Oscar shakes his head. I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe something was wrong with her. Jean sighs heavily, blinking away tears, then resets back to their position of prayer. My goddess, Lady Sarah, please forgive us for this death. It was the only way to save him, and please cleanse his soul of any grim filth that might cling to him in the afterlife. We do not know what this was, and I do not know what becomes of his soul from this tragedy. I hope he's at peace, though. There's a moment of silence as Jean finishes their prayer. Oscar looks back to the tunnel Ruby and Oobleck had ran down. We should go after the others. We have no idea what they're up against. Neo tugs on Jean's sleeve, then points at the spot Carden's body was, then shrugs. I don't know how this happened either. I didn't think anything like this was even possible. Neo stares at the spot, then hugs Jean again. We cut back to Ruby, zipping down the tunnels, chasing after Salem, who twists and turns into different connecting tunnels, trying to lose her. Ruby gets closer and closer. Salem grimaces in disgust. Finally, Ruby unfolds her scythe close enough to grapple it around Salem's body. Aha! Ruby yells in triumph when Salem grabs hold of the scythe and pulls it closer, yanking Ruby up to her and grabbing hold of Ruby's collar with her other hand. Still going just as fast as she was before, Ruby gasps, now face to face with Salem. You are stupid, child. Only a fool would try to harm me. Ruby grimaces and the scythe folds back up on itself. Ruby readies the gun at Salem and fires. Faster than the bullet itself, Salem flicks her hand and a dark black tentacle like a seer grim shoots out from her shoulder and blocks the bullet. The bullet does absolutely nothing to the tentacle. Ruby gasps. More and more tentacles sprout from Salem's form, wrapping around Ruby's arms, trapping her in Salem's grasp. What are you? Salem hums thoughtfully. I'm going to kill you now. Her hand opens and she reaches towards Ruby's face, the palm getting closer and closer. Ruby starts to breathe heavy, her arms trapped by grim tentacles. She looks around, worried, panicking. She thinks of her team, her mother, Mercury, and Yang. Her eyes blast sudden white light, and Salem screams. The speed remains the same, but Salem drops and starts to drag across the dirt. The tentacles wrapped around Ruby retract, and she squirms, freeing herself. Ruby's heels grind into the dirt, trying to slow them down more. Salem roars in anger and grabs hold of Ruby's throat. Crescent Rose tumbles out of her grasp and crashes to the ground, left behind as Salem picks speed back up again. Wretched girl! Ruby claws at Salem's hands, gasping for breath. Salem's hands tighten around her neck. Suddenly, a flash of green appears and Oobleck's thermos is inches from Salem's face. She screams as the flames surround her and drops Ruby, using her arms to shield her face from the fire. Oobleck grabs hold of Ruby's shoulders and the two tumble to the ground as Salem releases her hold on them. Oobleck twists himself so he lands on the ground, protecting Ruby with his body as best he can. They skid for a long while until finally they come to a stop. Ruby looks up and watches as Salem speeds down the tunnel and out of sight, disappearing into the darkness. No, Doctor, we have to go after her! Ruby drags herself to her feet and takes a few stumbling steps forward. Oobleck grabs her wrist. No, Ruby, stop. But sir, you don't have your weapon, Ruby. But we can't just let her go. Enough, please! Oobleck's voice is stern, and Ruby stops and turns back to him. His glasses have fallen off from their landing. He sighs heavily and holds onto her wrist tighter. I told you. I'd rather see you get your ego bruised than see you suffer any harm. Miss Rose, I truly believe if I let you go after that creature, the next time I see you, you'll be in a body bag. Ruby stares at him for a moment, then sighs and nods. He lets go of her wrist and starts to pat away the dust all over him. Ruby turns to look down the dark tunnel Salem disappeared into. What was that thing, sir? Nothing good. In all my research across all of history, I can't recall ever hearing about a human Grimm. No semblance or anything has ever done something like that before. Salem. She called herself Salem. Oobleck nods. Ruby suddenly looks confused. Did I do something? Did you see me do something? What do you mean? There was this moment. She had me, and I couldn't fight back. Then everything became really bright. Oobleck thinks for a moment, then hums to himself. Maybe those old fairy tales your mother always talks about have some merit to them. He turns and starts to walk back towards where they came from. Ruby scoffs. Fairy tales? Doctor, you teach history. You can't believe in fairy tales, can you? Miss Rose, fairy tales are a part of history. After all, what we saw today, that woman, doesn't she sound like a fairy tale to you? Ruby thinks and looks back down after Salem one last time, when suddenly, barking interrupts Ruby's thinking. She and Oobleck turn and see a light coming from back where they came from, and Zwei, engulfed in flames, barking and chasing after them. Ruby smiles and runs up to meet Zwei before her and Oobleck go back towards the others, picking up her weapon and Oobleck's glasses along the way. We watch as their plane takes off, just as dawn starts to rise. The four kids stare out the windows in silence. Oscar's eyes narrow, lost in thought. We cut to the plane, landing on the tarmac. Oobleck is on his scroll talking to Ozpin. Team Orange start trudging their way towards the school. There's a long silence between them all. Why did she think I looked familiar? The others glance at him, unsure what to say. Oscar sighs and looks up towards the tallest tower of the school. I need to talk to Ozpin. Is it okay if I go off without you all? Whatever you need. Oscar nods and hurries off, jogging towards the school. Jean sighs and rubs their eyes. Hey, is it alright if we swing by the sanctuary? I'd like to offer up a proper prayer to Lady Sarah. What happened to the sanctuary? Ruby, Jean, and Neo stand in shock, staring at the destroyed room covered in spider webs, bullet casings, and a completely destroyed statue of the god of animals. Jean groans, their shoulders slumping. Ruby and Neo both pat their shoulders in comfort. We transition over to Oscar, entering Ozpin's office. Ozpin's talking to Glinda. Check back with me once you get their medical reports. Thank you. Glinda nods and briskly rushes past Oscar. Oscar approaches Ozpin's desk. I just got off the phone with Oobleck. I don't want you or your team telling anyone about what you saw. It'll cause a panic. Oz, the lady, Salem, she said she recognized me? Ozpin stares back at him. Oscar frowns. Do you have any idea why? Ozpin stares silently, then sighs and rubs his eyes. Ozpin, sir, do you know what that was? Why does she recognize me? It's nothing. Oscar, do not speak of this to anyone. Sir, that's not fair. What did I see down there? Do not argue with me. You don't need to know anything. She's a myth. That's as far as you're concerned. She's in Mountain Glen. Maybe even still now. She's really close to the school, to Vale. She's dangerous. Damn it, Oscar, she's a myth. Nothing more. Ozpin slams a hand on the desk, punctuating his words. Oscar glares back at him. Our bullets did nothing against her. Our semblances were useless, including mine. There's a grim woman thing that's out there. That's dangerous, and you want me to act like it just doesn't exist? Young man, I have spent lifetimes trying to get the world to forget she exists, so you will do exactly that. People worshipped her. They revered her as a god. Yes, she is dangerous, but she's even more dangerous when people swarm themselves around her, acting like she's their salvation. How do you know that? Why haven't you ever told me this? Oscar stares down Oz, who turns his chair away to look out the window of his tower. Dust and semblances didn't work. But the relics might. What? The relics. Oz, if there was ever a time to use something like the relics, this is the time. I don't know what's gotten into you today, but that is enough out of you. I have had to deal with enough tonight already, and I thought you knew better than to even suggest such a thing. It doesn't seem fair. Life is not fair, Oscar! The two stare at each other. Ozpin sighs and rubs his eyes. Leave. Now. I am not having this conversation right now. Keep quiet about what you saw in Mountain Glen, and get those damned thoughts of relics out of your head. These things have been forgotten for a reason. Understand? Oscar glares at Ozpin, his eyes narrowing. Understand! Yes, sir. Oscar quickly walks out of the office and into the elevator. As the doors close, the elevator starts to descend. He sighs heavily and rubs his eyes. Finally, after a moment's pause, he pulls out his scroll and starts to type. We cut to Team Venom and Team Persevere lined up at a cafeteria table eating breakfast. Vernal pulls out her scroll and sees the text from Oscar. You were right. About Ozpin. We've got a deal. We'll figure out the relics, but you have to work together with us on this. Vernal smiles and replies back with a green heart emoji. We cut back to Oscar, stepping off the elevator, still typing on his scroll as we hear his voice over this moment. Guys, I need to talk to you about something important. That transitions us to Team Orange's bedroom. They're all sitting in front of Oscar while he speaks. During the dance, Vernal wanted to make a deal with us. She wants to learn more about the relics. That's why they broke into Ozpin's office. She wasn't nice about it either. She basically threatened all of us if we don't work together. Jeez, why didn't you say something before? Oscar looks over to RWBY with an apologetic expression. Her eyebrows raise. Me? Me and Yang? Is that it? You were finally getting closer with her. I didn't want to make things even more complicated. I was going to turn Vernal down and try to fight her myself, but something she said ended up being true. What? Ozpin's keeping secrets. Not only does he want us to act like we never saw that Salem woman, he also implied he knows who she is. What? Really? Remember what I told you? Ozpin got his powers a long time ago, when the Fall Maiden split her powers and gave it to her lover. Well, I also told you that the Summer Maiden gave a piece of her power to her sister. I think that's who that was. That's who Salem is. I think that makes sense. So she's got god powers too. She was really strong. Really, really strong. That would explain it. Oscar nods. Only the relics could stop someone like her. Something that also has god power. But the only people who can access the relics are the maidens. So what do we do now? Well, we work together, right? All of us. I mean, something this big? That dangerous? It's going to require all of us working together to stop it. RWBY and Oscar share a nod. We transition over to Team Posey, huddled together in a hospital bed getting all bandaged up. Penny gets a text and checks her scroll, then shows it to the others. We cut to see Team Boom, apologizing to Glinda and quickly hurrying out of her office. Blake checks her scroll, her ears perk up and her eyes narrowing. Vernal leads Team Venom into Junior's club. They show Junior a text on her scroll that says, "Permission granted, Melanie and Milsha Malachite." Junior shows them to the private room in the back. All the other 3 teams are already there. All 16 of them look around at each other, taking in the company and the setting. Finally, Oscar stands and claps his hands. We all have a shared secret. We know about maidens, and we know about relics. We might have different motives, but we have the same goal. How about we all get on the same page? We transition to a dark office lit by a single candle. Adam is tied to a chair in the middle of the room. The door opens and in comes the Albane brothers side by side. "Why have you imprisoned me here? You're not the authorities." A voice comes from behind the 2 men. "No, we're not, and you better count your blessings that's the case." The Albane brothers step apart to let talk enter the room. Adam's eyes narrow. "What do you want with me?" "Hey, buddy, calm down a bit. We're all Faunus here. No need to act so prickly." Tuck leans down to be more face-to-face with Adam. She smiles a toothy smile. "We're here to make a deal. See, I've had my suspicions about that kitty cat friend of yours. And now, wouldn't you know it? Looks like she's betrayed you too." Adam doesn't reveal any emotions. He calmly watches Tuck with a perfect poker face. "Now, your buddies are all in jail. Just like my buddies. Isn't that funny how that keeps happening when Blake gets involved?" "What are you proposing?" "A favor. I need your help, and looks like you need mine. In the end, we should both get everything we want. All of our buddies set free, and Blake Belladonna and her stupid little friends will be 6 feet under. Including the Schnee girl." "I only do work if it'll benefit the White Fang." "Well, lucky you and I have the same goals." She kneels down to be eye level with Adam and smiles. "The unification of the world. True peace among all, Faunus and humans, all seen as equals." Fennec walks behind Adam and uses his blade to cut the ties binding his hands. He looks up at the Albane brothers, then turns his attention back to Tuck. She smiles and holds up an open hand. "What do you say? We got a deal?" Adam firmly grabs her hand. "Deal." Shout out to the fan art. So cute, so precious, so fun. I appreciate you so much. Not only this fan art, but all the fan art throughout the whole season. I've appreciated seeing everyone just enjoying it, and I thank you so much. Extra special shout out to my $50 patron, Just Some Major. I bet they're really good at spelling. Shout out to my $10 patrons. You're all amazing. Andrew, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, Classy Critic, Genital War Thunder, Jake, Amber, Scaring Crows, Messiah, Jacob, Ben's Sketchbook, Lucien, Wild Pilot, Bunkin Duncan, Hoodie Angel, Ranger, C1 Trooper, Ruby Rune, Lava Rose, Unspoken, Tyrene, Thanos, Pandemonium, Peter, Agiri, Eden, Silverheart Soul, Doki Pokey, Zappy, Wolfgang, Philip, Lalaroni, Marie, MD, Nerf Ned, Video Gamer, Middlecoop, Vermithor, Card Creates, and Cat with a Knife. It's over. It's done. I've done it. Volume 2 of RWBY Reversed Fates is over. It's gonna be a while till Volume 3, but I hope you're excited. I hope you are. I can't wait for you to see it. I'm so excited. Any thoughts? Any theories? Anything you have to say. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed Volume 2. It was quite a roller coaster getting through it all. I hope you enjoyed it. It took a lot of time and effort, but I'm so happy. And now, it's done. Volume 2, RWBY Reversed Fates, and Volume 3 is on the horizon somewhere. I don't know how long it's gonna take, so don't hold your breath. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Any thoughts, theories, opinions, anything, leave them in the comments below. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.